Kolb's learning cycle includes 4 steps. The first step is concrete experience. This is your practical experience of doing something in real life. In your case, this will be teaching. The second step is called reflective observation. This simply means that you reflect on the experience. After you teach a training session or a lecture, you then reflect on what you did and ask yourself what worked and what didn't work so well. For example, you notice that students seem to enjoy most of the group activities you asked them to do. However, there was one activity with which they did not seem to engage fully. This can happen in real life. You use many activities to teach your participants. Most of them work, but there may be 1 or 2 which don't work. The third step is abstract conceptualization. This simply means that after reflecting on your experience, you analyze it further to generate a theory as to why things happened the way they did. You identify patterns or reasons behind your observations and then form general ideas that can guide your future actions. For instance, you remember that during the activity with which your students didn't engage, they seemed confused about its purpose. After analyzing what happened, your theory is that perhaps you didn't clearly explain how the activity connected to the learning objectives. You come up with the idea that in the future you will explain how each activity ties into the goals of the session. The last step is called active experimentation. This is just about taking the ideas you've developed and testing them out in a real situation to see how well they work. For example, let's say you came up with the idea that explaining the connection between activities and learning objectives can improve participant engagement. In this step, you would plan how to put that insight into practice. Maybe you decide that in your next training session, you'll begin every activity with a brief explanation of how it ties into the learning goals. Think of it as creating a strategy to try out a better way of doing things. As the cycle starts again, you will implement the new strategies as you teach. Then you will reflect on how it went, and so on. As you go through the full cycle many times, the way you teach should progressively improve. Why should we use Kolb's cycle? You could say that this is just learning from experience. However, there is a big difference. Kolb's cycle gives you structure so you don't miss development opportunities. Simply experiencing something, like delivering a training session or trying out a new method, might not be enough to identify what went well, what didn't, and how to improve. The cycle reminds you to stop and think about your experiences. Analyze why things turn out the way they did, create concrete strategies, and experiment with them.